it's now the time to for the showcase of the project. I just want to to introduce briefly not the presenters. I have already done that, but just to remark the fact that this is this is an experience, it's a test, it's an exercise. It is probably the very first project of our students where a conscious, let's say, approach toward history, toward values was addressed and considered, but at the same time, we did not want to create too many limitations because in a fertile environment, idea can also appear. It is also to test in which way contemporary, young generations are responding to this type of inputs, which might be seen in most of the cases as sort of limitation to the expressions. We are well aware that the reality imposes some rules. There are charts, there are documents, there are regulations. So we are, of course, addressing all these issues during the semester, before the semester, with preliminary and preparatory courses. But at the same time, we wonder what is a genuine, spontaneous, unfiltered response to these inputs. And so what we're going to see today must be anyway considered as a student response, not as a professional work, but as the first, let's say, test exercise regarding the complex issue of touching history and making it alive, making it useful again, making it purposeful. So the first presenters are Erva Turan and Berfin Lordolu. They will present their project entitled Encounters. Of course, it's the first project, so there might be sort of a burden on their shoulders. They will open the session, but I'm pretty sure they're going to do a good job. I see here they are ready. Good luck. You can share your screen and introduce your project to the large audience today. Today for you, here for you.
Okay, let me share my screen first. Welcome everybody. My name is Erva Turan.
My name is Berfin Lordolu.
Today with my partner Berfin, we will present our project entitled Encounters. Let me close my camera. Okay. And as already remarked during the introductory session, one of the greatest value of Albayrak Passage is its urban context and socio-cultural environment. On the southern side of the building is Havra Street, a strategical commercial access for Kemeraltı District. The major characteristics of Havra Street is its vitality, the intense flavor of local gastronomic products, the voices of the vendors, and the constant flow of local and visiting people. On the eastern side of Albayrak Passage is 937 Street, which is, when compared to Havra Street, absolutely a much quieter and a more intimate urban connection. And here is where a same synagogue stands, one of the 9 synagogues composing the Jewish cultural heritage cluster of Havra District, and recently restored. The combination of all of these elements makes the location of Albayrak Passage absolutely extraordinary and unique. And at the same time, the uniqueness of each of the 2 access points to the building needed to be considered during the evolution of our project proposal. And our project approached differently the two entrance spaces of Albayrak Passage and the relations with Havra Street and 937 Street by proposing different functional and design strategies. Major spaces for social encounters and consumption were located on the eastern side of the building due to its more intimate profile, with the intention to promote interaction between indoor and outdoor spaces. The major indoor space for social encounters was positioned at the intersection of the two circulation axes in order to keep untouched the original character of the building threshold, which is located on Havra Street. This new social space introduced within the building is also the initial point of a vertical journey, which connects the ground level and the first level of the Albayrak Passage and continues upward toward a new level proposed by our project, a terrace ring, carved into the roof and surrounding the skylight structure. The terrace is a fundamental visual connection element able to establish a strong visual link between Albayrak Passage and the surrounding urban context, and especially with the Jewish Cultural Heritage District. In other words, the terrace is a new value proposed by the project. And the absence of spaces for social encounters in the existing configuration of the building was for us an important aspect in the definition of the design strategy. Spaces for social encounters are extremely important for the creation of a mixed-use program, and they promote experiential goals in social and cultural terms, as well as contrasts such as old-new, stationary movement, passive-active experience, and all relevant intentions in the determination of the new functional distribution of Albayrak Passage. The new program for the building includes spaces for gastronomy, informal working, commercial activities, spaces for professional education, and all connected by free spaces for social interaction. As previously mentioned, the distribution all of these functional areas was achieved through the analysis of the building context and the evaluation of the original layout of the building. While social areas are generally located in close connection with the building entrances and linked by the major horizontal and vertical circulation axis, informal working areas, commercial spaces are mostly attached to the system of circulation, and social spaces on the Havra Street side due to its great vitality. Centrally, spaces for gastronomy define a new crucial zone where a blend of local flavors reflects the character of Kemeraltı.
By the help of these diagrams, main interventions proposed by the project are highlighted. These interventions are the redefinition of the roof layout with the introduction of a terrace ring, the creation of new large openings on the northwestern edge of the building with the aim of establishing a visual connection with the courtyards of the synagogues, the proposal of a new stairway connect all three levels of the building, and the redefinition of the entrance gate on 937 Street. In relation with the roof intervention, as already mentioned before, we are proposing the creation of a terrace ring carved into the existing roof structure and surrounding the skylight. The skylight structure is redesigned in prismatic geometrical form, yet locates exactly where the original one correctly is. The skylight is an essential feature of the building since it brings natural daylight into it, especially on major circulation axes, either on the first and on the ground level. The creation of new large openings on the northwestern edge of building also provides the interior space of Albayrak Passage with additional natural daylight, and at the same time opens up the indoor space to integrate to view of hidden open air space belonging to synagogues. The new stairway is designed as a glass tube existing its cylindrical body above the roof level, and this way connecting all floor level of the building. It also contains memory trace of the original function of the building. The redefinition of the entrance gate located on 937 Street allows the creation of a more protected access point where people would gather or wait for one another. This slide shows the proposal for the creation of a terrace ring on the roof level of the building. This picture partly portrays the building facade on 937th Street. On the right side, several synagogues are here visible, representing the major visual intention of the roof intervention. Our proposal intends to extend the boundaries of Albayrak Passage with the creation of an order space and an invaluable observation experience. These perspective sections show the distribution of space along the longitudinal axis of the building. From right to left, the recess entrance gate on 937th Street, space for gastronomy in the central area, either on the ground and first floor, and the major social space on the left, visually connected with the courtyard of Senior Synagogue. The linearity of the longitudinal axis of the building is strengthened with the emphasis given by the project to social encounters arranged along it. These perspective sections show the vertical distribution of space on both sides of the central corridor and galleries of the building. It also shows the vertical relation between central circulation spaces and skylight above those. The terrace ring is here visible, running along both sides of the skylight structure. This perspective section shows the secondary axis of the building, intersecting the entrance gate from Havra Street on the right side. Centrally, in the intersection point of the two major circulation axes of Albayrak Passage, in their L-shaped configuration, the new stairway, the vertical glass tube is here visible, surrounded on the ground and first floor by space for social encounters. On the left side, new large openings are visually connecting the inner space of the building with Jewish architectural heritage. Along the axis, space for commercial activities are located in continuity with the commercial character of Havra Street.
And this slide shows our proposal for the building elevation on 937th Street. Spaces for leisure and consumption are here located in order to promote interaction between indoor and outdoor spaces. Centrally, the recessed access gate is here visible, highlighted with a new chromatic character. And this slide shows in detail the new recessed access gate located on 937th Street, which is meant to allow the creation of a more protected space and a point where people would gather or wait for one another. This perspective view shows the longitudinal circulation axis in its new design. The character of the space is unchanged, with the lateral position on both sides of commercial and gastronomy spaces. The central gallery connects visually with the upper level and allows natural daylight to illuminate the corridor. In relation to the materiality, existing terrazzo tiles are retained, but framed laterally with linear contrasting stripes made of colored polished concrete in order to emphasize the edging border between circulation and commercial spaces. And the vitrines of the shops are redesigned by using metal frames, and all signages are proposed as neon works, composing of light letterings. And 5 additional metal framed elements are creating sitting units, marking the verticality of the space. Then this interior elevation shows the storefront of the bookstore that we have placed along the longitudinal axis of the building. The vitrine design frame is designed in reference with the original timber frames by keeping the composition of those and by using metalworks framing, transparent and opaque surfaces. The second made of plywood. Signages are neon works, and the contrast is increased by the addition of acrylic sheets on the glazed surface at the back. And this perspective view shows how spaces for gastronomy are arranged along the longitudinal axis of the building in its central zone. In order to create areas for consumption, all storefronts are recessed. This way, the project proposes the redefinition of the size of commercial units for gastronomy in a sort of street food concept. And gastronomy spaces are arranged on both sides of the central corridor. Therefore, in order to emphasize the unity of the space in relation to the gastronomic purpose, we are proposing the application of artificial lighting linear elements, which are ideally linking both areas while marking the gradal structural system of the building. And storefronts are here characterized with an additional feature, which is a metal mesh positioned behind the signage.
This slide shows our proposal for the building elevation on Havra Street. Havra Street, as already mentioned earlier, is a strategical commercial access for Kemeraltı District. The project intends not to interfere with characters of the building elevation. It only proposed to highlight the building with a chromatic solution for the level of Albayrak Passage. Moreover, we don't propose for this site of the building any integration between outdoor and indoor spaces, apart from the entrance gate. This perspective view shows the circulation axis starting from Havra Street entrance gate in its new design. As previously mentioned, we intend to locate on this side of the building a sequence of the commercial activities, reproposing a pattern of artisan shops typical of Kemeraltı region, but with a new design appeal. The contrast between Georgery and food shop generally characterizing Havra Street and artisan shops located at the entrance of Albayrak Passage would reinforce the shift in the commercial character of the building. And here is a sample, a porcelain shop. And here is the opposite view with a different commercial space for glass products. This perspective view shows the intersection between the two circulation axes of the building, originating in 937th Street and Havra Street. The project proposed the creation of an indoor plaza, a space for social encounters and consumption, a strategic indoor meeting point for the visitor and the initial point of a vertical journey, which connects the ground level and the first level of the Albayrak Passage by a new stairway, designed as a vertical glass tube. A gallery surrounding the stairwell connects visually both levels of the plaza. And here is another view of the plaza, where we can identify this intersection point of the two main circulation axes at the back, the cafeteria on the left, the glass cylinder connected with the upper levels and the gallery around it.
And in this view, you can see the arrival point of the new stairway at the first floor level. The large gallery space surrounding the cylinder is here framed by additional spaces for social interaction and informal working areas. And large openings are visually extending the indoor spaces across the boundaries of the building, allowing the view toward the building composing the Jewish Cultural Heritage Cluster. And this render shows the main circulation axis of the building on the first level, visually connected with the lower corridor through linear gallery spaces and highly naturally illuminated through the linear skylight enclosing the space from the top. Here again, space for gastronomy are located on both sides of the axis in combination with other commercial spaces. The project intends to increase the quantity of common spaces on the first floor in order to promote a higher visitability and a longer permanence of the visitors. And you can see the main circulation area of the first floor, roof lighthouse, and skylight on it. The railing design created of planes and lines working as a table and sitting units has been inserted to the gallery spaces, giving the quieter character of this level and the higher degree of the brightness. Artisan shops are located on the first floor as well. And here is a sample for handmade jewelry products. And at the back, large openings visually connected with Havra Street. This perspective view shows how spaces for gastronomy are arranged along the longitudinal axis of the building on the first floor, similarly to what proposed for the lower level, by recessing the storefront of the existing commercial units.
Here is one more cafeteria space located on the first floor and visually connected with 937th Street in continuation with the character of the building on its eastern side. As mentioned during the introductory session, Albayrak Passage was previously characterized by the presence of shoemakers. The project intends to retain the memory of shoemakers by proposing the integration within the building program as space for professional education related with the shoemaking and accessorizes, a sort of permanent workshop where interested users would gather in order to acquire new professional skills, in addition to already existing public programs for professional education located in the city of Izmir.
And this closing slide shows a view of the terrace level. And here is where our journey throughout our project proposal ends. And thank you for listening. And we will be happy to hear your comments and to reply to your questions.
Thank you, Erva. Thank you, Berfin. I felt the pain of presenting. I mean, it's not, it's always complicated. Anyway, you've done a good job. Yes, maybe you can keep your presentation active on the screen in case there will be some questions. I hope. I mean, questions are or comments, whatever our guests would like to express, even in a very basic way. Instinctual reactions. If there is anybody who wants to ask a question, you can just open the microphone and address your comment or ask a question.
I would like to ask a question for the presentation, both to the students and the previous ones from the colleagues. They were great. I would ask a question about the roof circulation we just see on this slide. I wonder, is it for you only a gazebo, a viewpoint to see the surrounding, or what kind of social activities to take place there you expect? How you expect the inhabitants here, visitors here, would behave there, would occupy that space?
Okay, we considered it like just an observing point to seeing the synagogues around here and make the visual link with the user and the urban context. So we just want to add a new circulation system, a third one, so they can observe the context. This function is not have in the existing situation of the passage. We added a new value like that.
Actually, I also found it very interesting contribution of you to the building. And now after this question, quickly my comment would be, I think it even promises more. Therefore, I asked the question. I would, quick suggestion from me would be, what they see from that viewpoint, we can also, from this render, we can have a grasp of it. But I would suggest you also to depict maybe having a render any kind of illustration showing us, the kind of life there, what's going on there. Because I think, in my opinion, it promises much more than to be a viewpoint. People just, idly checking around. There can be lots of different kinds of social interaction between people there, and it would be, I think, great if you express it. What do you expect there to be? Is a informal place, probably, but also are there places you can gather with your maybe friends to have some private corner activity? Do you expect that? Sitting places, maybe, I don't know, that kind of depiction of life there would be valuable, because it can, I think, while doing that, it can stimulate your thoughts on this part of the project. I found it very promising. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I would like to say something. Is this part of the terrace transparent?
Which part of
This part.
I
mean, do you see what I'm
No.
pointing at?
No.
Okay, now there is the roof of Albayrak, and in the middle, in the center of the roof, you have this this glass structure.
Yes.
Yeah.
We changed into a more transparent and prismatic roof light than the existing one.
Yeah, because if it's, as I imagine, it contributes, I don't know, not only to the building, but to the environment. Because beforehand, I told you that, I mean, you are actually here contributing, if it's transparent, to the site we have from Etz Chaim Synagogue's women's section. That will be a visit site. So what we're gonna see, and we don't really see today, is this gigantic, I mean, this beautiful site of the Kestane Pazarı mosque. So actually, in my imagination, it brings us together, it links us, this thing. So I think it is important in this respect. And I, like Ahmet Sezgin, I think that really you can think here about different functions of this place, because as I told beforehand, this is gonna be a festival area. So I don't know what, but you have to think about it. Thank you.
Thank you. You're right. We will think about these comments.
No,
I would like to make some addition, if possible.
Yes, sure.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I would like to thank you for your kind invitation. I am very pleased to be here. Thank you for all the presenters. First, I would like to say that. And I would like to add something to Ahmet Hoca. I'm just thinking about the opening in the roof, the skylights. Maybe you should think about the direct sunlight, the heat control inside, especially if you think about Izmir. Some more days are sunny in Izmir. Maybe you can think about to control or to prevent the sun here. Maybe you should think about the light that you take inside, because most probably you take too much light here. It will cause a greenhouse effect, I think. So you should think about the openings, additional to the functioning. I also think that you should add some function in the roof. And by the way, you should think about the opening, the size of the opening here. Thank you.
Yeah.
I would like to say the same hello from Athens, Dionysia. Congratulations for this very nice word, of course, but I have the same thinking about the sun in this Mediterranean city as Izmir, and how can manage the sun that put strength into the building. Of course, it's a very nice idea to have this open space in the roof and to have this very nice walk around, but I think it's a problem about the sun, the heating, and the ecological footprint. This is my opinion about this.
Thank you.
Yes.
We actually think maybe we can change the glass type of the roof lights, but the additional shading elements more correct, will be more correct.
If you look at Renzo Piano's architecture, most of the solutions for this glass canopy are there already. Like half of his architecture, of his studio's architecture, uses glass and this type of glass addition on the roof, and you'll find the solution right there.
Okay.
Yes, of course, you can find a solution, but the energy that you have used about this, I think it's not a very good idea. It's my opinion.
May I also add a comment? Angelos Philopoulos.
Yes, please, Angelos, please. Yes.
Okay, so thank you for having me. It's my
Yeah.
first time and I'm really enjoying it so far, and I feel very honored and lucky to be here. So I'd like to change the tone of the conversation, because of course there's the ecological footprint, of course there's the sort of engineering stuff that's going around. I saw a comment mentioning the mechanical like HIV, the air conditioning units, all these things that are also going to take part in this scenario and things to consider. But actually I wanted to say that I particularly enjoyed the way that your students translated the existing style and, basic morphology of the building into a very contemporary situation, as in like using the corrugated metal or the metal mesh to remind this, to translate this sort of existing condition. And so in a sense, I really enjoyed the way they kind of adaptively tell a story about the style of the building, which is not like a very particular one anyway, mostly industrial in a sense. And I also liked how they translated the facades of the shops, like the wooden construction, the existing thing, into a metal situation with the dark overtones and like highlights. But like what I wanted to also be able to see is this idea about this cultural and this density of the bazaar from the past. I do understand that there are workshops that are going to happen there, and they're going to do all these there's going to be all these happenings going on with the heritage type of cultural activities or products or stuff like that. This is basically something that I would have liked to see in the renderings, in the perspectives views. It's always a problem when we see a building as an entity in itself, but like photoshopping into the renderings gives you the opportunity to actually put products in the picture, or people dressed like this or like that, and the actual show the workshop as you imagine it would happen. So I think the whole presentation would have been richer if it depicted that kind of social life, right?
Yes, I understand.
That's like my comment. Otherwise,
Yes.
I really enjoyed your presentation.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I've seen there are many comments. All you have said is, I mean, I'm not talking on behalf of the students. I am just reframing all your comments, which are absolutely correct in any sense. These projects are showing how much complicated it is to deal with several issues at once. So this is I have to say a large-scale project, including so many preliminary analytical information to be acquired, intersecting languages, history, traditions, what to keep, what to dismiss, how to value elements and features of the building, how to address the surroundings, how to address the context. So it is a sort of like a milkshake. No, it is a kind of a blending all together that generates in some cases weeks and weeks of confusion. And so what comes up is an idea that tries to address all problems at once, but none of those problems are actually resolved individually. They are all there waiting for additional studies, additional answers. They are sometimes requiring additional classes, to be taken to be aware of those problems. I've seen the comments of Cenk. Thank you for your comment. Of course, the mechanical system will have an effect. Of course, having spaces for gastronomy will require the solution of the aspiration, of the ventilation, of the exhausted generated by spaces for cooking, for production. I've seen the message of AJ wondering about the resistance, the capacity of the structure to host a structure. I saw the comment of Carlotta, who is wondering about the performance of the skylight, and if it's possible to turn it into a passive design, increasing the ventilation. It is there are all issues that will be probably can be resolved only with an extensive additional time, because this is exactly where the idea ends up, and then the problem are starting. How to resolve it, how to make it technologically possible, how to make it structurally possible, and this is the result of a 3 months and a half of a struggle to come out from a problem which is much bigger than what they are at the time, and we, of course, we all agree with your comments, which are there on the table, waiting in case this project should be, let's say, kept active to find out a realistic implementation proposal. So, but Angelos, you pointed out something very, very interesting, and I thank you for having said those. Interpretation is an important and difficult task. To interpret takes time. To interpret requires a lot of capability to read. And reading is one of the most difficult things to teach. It is a spontaneous. Sometimes it is something latent in everybody's mind. And but that's an important thing. And all other technological aspects addressed by Dionysia, by Cenk, by Carlotta, by Ece, they are all absolutely real things to be aware of. Thank you for that. Also from Gözen, also thank you for thanking us for inviting you. Is there anybody else who wants to address any other comment? Otherwise, we may skip. We may pass to the second presenter.
I'd like to make a small comment.
Let's see the voice of Tarkan.
You know, we live in these streets, and we know how crowded is the place. I just felt a little bit lack of Havra Street atmosphere in the design. Maybe it's because of the presentation. And I like the integration of the Eshaim Street, I would like to call. The entrance is really nice, but I didn't see any integration of the Havra Street. It's done. It's done because I think not to stop the facade of the Havra Street, but there might be some special touch to make a bridge between Havra Street and the synagogues area, I think. And in fact, designing this building in real life, and we have these ventilation or sunlight problems in real life. We are planning to put, unfortunately, the air-conditioned units around that terrace circulation area because we don't have any other place. And the openings on the roof walls, the original ones, are so important. I don't see those on this design to ventilate the building naturally. And that's another issue up to me. That's all from me at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay, if there is nobody else, we can dismiss Erva and Berfin. Last call. Anybody else? No. Okay. Thank you, Erva. Thank you, Berfin. Now it's time to move to the second presentation, which will be delivered by Ayşenur and Hazal, entitled Flow.
Yes, hello everyone. I am sharing my screen.
Okay, we can start. Welcome everybody. My name is Ayşenur Allı.
And it's Hazal Vecel. Today we are going to present our project entitled, which is Flow. Let me close my camera. As already during the introductory session, Kemeraltı is the heart of the city of Izmir. It is large open-air bazaar offering a great variety of diverse experiences for shopping, gastronomy, and culture. In this slide, we also wanted to mention once more that our project site is unique. Given the fact that Albayrak Passage is surrounded by the cluster of Jewish synagogues, and also it's representing an extraordinary heritage value for the building itself. Our approach for the project, it addresses all these contextual values, and it's aims at creating an urban hub where traditional craftsmanship, culture, innovation will merge and contribute to the revitalization of the old shoemaker's passage. And the idea is to highlight the character of the building and urban passage. It's through the creation of two main experiential roads within it. The one consisting of artisan shops and the other representing a journey through the culinary history of the area characterized by intersection of diverse cultures. These two roads will promote a new flow of people and experiences in total continuation with the existing dynamics of Kemeraltı. And in this slide, it shows our project strategy by indicating in diagram on the left. Major architectural features characterizing our project proposal, which are both building facades, a central memory space, and redefinition of the skylights. In the diagram in the center, the second one, we wanted to indicate major interventions proposed by our project in relation with above mentioned architectural features as well. And in the diagram on the right, the last one, we are indicating the distribution of functions within the building, integrating spaces for shopping, gastronomy, education, informal working, culture, and social interaction. By the means of two major colors, green and red, the project intends to highlight the flow concept by linking the two entrances of the building by grouping spaces belonging to different functions zones. And also, they are becoming at the same time the new skin of the building, either externally and internally. And here, the axonometric view of the ground floor showing the two entrance gates from Havra Street and 937th Street linked by the L-shaped passage corridor running as the spine of the building. The diagram also indicates the variety of functional spaces distributed on both sides of the spine and major areas for cultural, gastronomic, and social experiences as well. And you may notice a large open space visible on the left corner of the building, an area we have named as the core. That is the major social space proposed by the project. And also, it's able to gather a large number of visitors while establishing a great visual connection with the hidden garden of Synagogue here. On the bottom corner, in close relation with 908th Street, the project proposes the integration of a special space for culture and music. We will present these two areas later, together with a special proposal for the passage. And here is the axonometric view of the first floor, where again, a combination cultural activities and informal working are distributed with the same strategy. It's based on the alignments of functions along thematic flows indicated red and green as well. And this slide shows our proposal for the redefinition of the skylight that runs longitudinally above the central corridor of the building. The current situation of the skylight requires the rehabilitation and possibly the redesign of it with the consideration of a more efficient technological performance. We propose to integrate along the existing skylight additional roof openings in order to increase the quality of natural daylight within single commercial units to ensure the natural ventilation within the building. And the consideration of the sun path is also a relevant aspect of the redesign of the skylight structure with the integration of shading devices.
Longitudinal section. This perspective section describes our proposal for the center passage on Albayrak building. Starting from the left side, the new entrance gate from 937th Street recessed from the elevation in order to create more protected access area, meant as a meeting point. Beside the entrance, a two-story space for music activities, including traditional instrument sales, a bookstore, and on the first floor, a special space for education. Centrally, on the ground level, a sequence of gastronomy spaces. On the first floor, the project locates shoemaker shop by establishing a strong link with the memory of the original function of Albayrak Passage. On the right side, in close relation with the entrance gate from Havra Street, the core, the major social space proposed by the project, a double-height space offering a wide view toward the garden of Synagogue and linking vertically both levels of the building. Here is the second circulation axis of Albayrak Passage, connected to the entrance gate from Havra Street, visible on the left. The project proposes the creation of a locker space where visitors and tourists could be able to leave temporarily their belongings, and centrally the core, the major social space of the building. On the upper floor, we propose the creation of a co-working space in order to open the program of the building to the integration of different user profiles, especially people who would become a sort of residents of Albayrak Passage for professional purposes. This slide shows our proposal for the redesign of the building elevation on 937th Street. The addition of a new skin made of metal mesh panels colored in red and green would highlight Albayrak Passage and at the same time direct visitors toward the inside of the building. A new entrance solution would also mark the access point. On the left side, our proposal for a special space for music and culture is here visible. We have focused on three special spaces, which are music and bookstore, the passage, and the core. Now we are going to present in detail our proposal for the music and bookstore. With the help of three different diagrams, we want to highlight all relevant architectural, interventional, and the functional aspects of our proposal, including the facade scheme, the distribution of spaces among different levels, and special features characterizing the design proposal. This section shows vertical spatial relation of the music space, starting from the facade and openings. You can see on the left, the double character of ground and first floor level, with a bookstore on the lower floor, and an area for traditional instruments showcase on the upper level, and the vertical connection on the right. There are traditional instruments repair area and mini cafe area at the ground floor. These areas ensure that the ground floor is also chill-out space. At the same time, this section shows the relation between music and bookstore with the main circulation of the building. Here again, a different perspective view of the space from the outside, including the lateral access to the building from its central passage corridor. The entrance space is visually open to all areas located around it, on the ground and first floor, with the intention to promote introspection and transparency. This is the first of four internal views of the music and book space. This perspective shows the ground level and the reading area having a double height and therefore totally connected with all other spaces composing the music shop. The materiality of the design is selected in line with the general language purpose by the project for the building. Here another view of the ground floor level, where at the background, You can notice the visual relation established with the entrance gate of the building. Here is the lunch area on the ground floor, where visitors will be able to meet and have a coffee or a tea. Here we present our idea for the creation of an educational space for music, located on the first floor. That might also be utilized for rehearsal and practice. The promotion of music experiences, recalling traditions, and integrating new technologies is a key point for proposal. Now we want to talk about another important proposal of the project, the one envisioning the redesign for the central corridor of the building, the passage, the major characteristic space of Albayrak Passage. With the help of 3 different diagrams, we want to highlight all relevant architectural, interventional, and functional aspects of our proposal. Proceeding from the lower to the upper level, a combination of vertically organized elements creates a space for consumption and social interaction on the ground floor, a new circulatory system on the first floor with the aim of emphasizing shoemaker space and the relation with the memory of Albayrak Passage, and the redesign of the skylight structure on the roof level. Longitudinal section is here describing the proposed solution based on a new lightweight metal structure installed into existing gallery spaces, integrated with the artificial lighting devices and surfaces for communication. This cross-section shows that the lightweight metal structural elements starts from the roof and reach the ground floor, and here these elements that carry the table. In addition, a linear opening was added to the roof, you can see on the left, to allow the shops to receive more light and natural air at the first floor.
And here is view of our proposal as visible from the passage of the building in its longitudinal alignment. On the right side, a sequence of artisan shops, and on the left side, several spaces for gastronomy. In the center, a linear horizontal plane which serves for short-term consumption for gastronomic products and social interaction opportunities, marking the characteristic linearity of the building and greatly illuminated from the skylight. The verticality of the space is also emphasized. And here is another view of our proposal. At the background, you can see the core, which we talked before. It is becoming the focus point of the linear perspective of the passage. And here we go first floor, where shoemakers' shops are located on the left, and a large area for workshops for promoting the experiences of making. And centrally, the linear gallery above the passage, the void between the ground level on the skylight. And here is another view from first floor, where the proposal of a new solution for the walkway made of a steel mesh panels is visible. The intention to promote a greater perception of the physical relations among with different levels of the building. And now we are going to present our last major proposal, which is the core. In order to describe the relation of the core with the building entrance, we want to start our journey from the access point located on Havra Street. The elevation of the building expresses the same language proposed for the other building facade, 937th Street. Here again, we propose a new lightweight skin made of steel mesh panels, colored in red and green as well. And somehow interrupting the character of Havra Street and therefore marking the persons of Albayrak Passage. a sort of interpretation of the fabrics utilized in the city bazaar as permeable shading devices. And they are applied vertically on the building facade. And here is the diagrams with the help of the explain our concept again. We wanted to highlight all relevant architectural, interventional, and functional aspects of our proposal. Proceeding from the lower to the upper level, spaces for local gastronomic products are located along the lower passage. And co-working spaces on the upper floor and the lower corner, the major social space of the building itself. And this longitudinal section shows in detail the vertical organization of spaces along the central corridor. This you can see the Signora Synagogue's backyard. It is visible on the left. And here is the view from entrance gate showing the locker station on the left and a local gastronomy products shop on the right. And here it's the first perspective view of the core, an area for a leisure and social intercation, a sort of interior square where people will meet or have a break during the intense shopping activity. Large openings will allow the garden of Signora Synagogue. And visual relations are also established with the spaces composing co-working area located on the first floor. Here, we wanted to imagine the view of the interior spaces of Albayrak Passage. As visible from the garden of Signora Synagogue is through the large opening proposed for the side elevation for the building. The passage will be revealed its great linearity. Here is the view from the upper level above the core area. Again, a new system of circulatory elements is proposed in order to highlight the connection to co-working spaces. A new stairway designed in line with the general language of the project. And also it connects vertically the core with the first floor of the building. Here is the proposal for the co-working space. It is offering several different options for co-working settings and surrounded by the great view of the synagogue garden. And I guess here is where our journey throughout the project proposal ends. Thank you for listening, and we are looking forward to hear your comments and reply your questions as well. Thank you.
I hope it is correct, your translation to all languages.
We have used Google Translation. We hope it will be
we
true.
may ask to our guest, I mean, about that.
Actually, I asked my friend, one from Greece and one from Spain. They are said to me, yes, it's correct, but I hope they are.
Yeah, we may start a conversation. I mean, again, if there are questions, and probably there are, or comments.
Mm-hmm.
Can I start, if possible?
Sure.
Of course.
First of all, thank you. I liked your use of color in interior. It's so effective for interiors. Color is so effective. So I like your use of color, especially the vertical relations that you are that's in your project in the third dimension. I like them. I mean the red details. the red vertical details. They also integrate the whole building together. It's a good approach, I think. I also liked the material selections, but I can say that you can increase the contrast between the materials. It will be more effective in interiors. But generally, I liked the project. And thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Can I say a word, Ece?
Sure, Ece, please. I'm sorry, Ece, you have written many comments before, and maybe I didn't. Yeah. We didn't give an answer to your comments before about especially the integration of social life. That's absolutely important thing.
No, they were only notes for
it's okay
for future projects actually.
Yeah.
I like the general of the project. I think it has a character, and I think it has taken some notes from the character of the local place. I like the materials. I like the warm feeling it gives to me. Of course, these are personal feelings, of course. And I like the links to the traditional and the modern both together. The integration with the synagogue garden, I think the transparency and the surprise there, that's a nice effect. I like how you consider the craftsmanship inside the building. You had a space for them, not only just a room, but just more of a space. The traditional musical and bookshop is a nice touch. I'm not sure about the co-working space. I think it's a nice effort to integrate, but that's just a note. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
No, this co-working, I mean, you know, it's a very popular thing. It's such a trendy topic, and it's becoming like red pepper in the meal. Whenever you want to give a spice, you put a co-working. No, the thing is this: I mean, this is it became now a very abused topic in interior design education recently because anyway it was noticed happening frequently in the city. What we were also asking to our students is how can we have like sort of residents, not only shop owners, but somebody who would feel the attachment to the building, who would protect the building, would feel like this is also my home. It's not just a place for shopping. Now, co-working is just probably the easiest way to respond to that question. But I mean, probably it can be only as a branch of an existing enterprise. Like having I don't know, Origin, Havra Street, something like that, like a branch of an already existing format. But I totally understand what you mean. Okay. Yeah. Any other question?
I want to say also hello, so everybody.
Erdem, I'm sorry. I mean, there was this camera at the beginning. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No problem. Just I wanted to inform you about this.
Yeah.
So thank you also being invited. This actually a good, very nice, interesting actually project. So I want to say also all my colleagues here and all the students, our collaborators in the future. So they are coming with a nice presentation, I see. And as a teacher, you, Sergio, no? You are also from Italy, no?
Yes, I do.
Which city? Yeah.
From not a very big town. It's called Foggia. It's in the south. In Puglia, it's in the southeast. But I mean, I spent almost 20 years in Florence, and that's my second city. Now you are in Milano. I see you are fine. That makes me feel good. I mean, it was a terrible experience during this crisis. But anyway, let's go back to your opinion. That is important. Yes.
Yes, actually, I like the Hazal and Ayşenur. I think they really looked actually from very good point of view that how you entered the space. Like they divided into as like gastronomist like side and also the artisan side. So they think the good point of view actually, in my opinion. And I see that also they make a good collaboration also inside the space. And I think actually in the project, as also my friend said, actually in the center gastronomy area, and I actually in the while I was listening to the project starting point, when I was imagined that when I entered inside, I see completely different two spaces, one artisan side and one the gastro, but they combined I think together. So I just wanted to say it was a nice actually making a mix inside the space. Just I want to ask that the red and green color, is there any choice or just a decision of their actually themselves?
Actually, we inspired from the patches from the Kemeraltı. As maybe you know it, Kemeraltı has a very crowded space, and they are creating corridors with patches. And generally, they are in red and green because they want to sell their products and they want to show them more brightly. For example, tomato or something like that, or the green things. That's why, and they are natural colors, and that's why we choose it.
It's only a personal choice. That's
yeah. So. Okay.
And also we inspired the style of the deconstructivism. That's why also we choose the red color.
You combine with the deconstructivism because red and green actually is, in my opinion, the color theory. It's the 50%, in my opinion. I don't remember exactly, but I studied it in the past. The red and green is the 50% of the same. Actually, I think this equal actually the combination of that. For example, it is a contrast colors. For example, 50% of red, 50% of green is the similar if you put on the actually heavy. But if you choose, for example, blue and yellowish, like or the violet of this, 30% of the yellow is equal to the 70% of actually. So you could divide. Maybe I was thinking in the spaces of the functionality, you divided like 50% of green, 50% of the red. And the constructionism, for example, for me, more yellow, because yellow for me, in my opinion, because if you see, for example, also there's some, also red also is not a bad color for deconstructivism, but just was a question.
I think the real answer is they are from Karşıyaka. That's
why I didn't want to say it.
They both live in Karşıyaka. They wanted to give a Karşıyaka touch to the building. I mean,
and they put inside the city of the Göztepe. It was a big problem.
Now, for people connected from other cities, they don't know what is Karşıyaka. But anyway, it's the off side of Izmir, the other side of the bay. So, and they have a typical color, red and green. So please tell the truth. It's not about natural colors. We are from Karşıyaka.
Yes, so this is the truth.
That would be the answer.
You catch up, Sergio.
No, I'm kidding. It's just sometimes we need to have a mental break. Yeah. Anybody else wants to address any?
If I may.
Yes, sure, Serkan. Please.
First of all, thank you very much for making me being a part of this wonderful group of people. It was a pleasure to listen to the presentations before and the presentations now as well. Both presentations, I enjoyed the process of the development, the architectural language that they created, and especially with your project, the use of light and the greenery also grabbed my attention. The outdoor patio area, the plaza area that you created, also a wonderful space to be in. I will have two questions actually. The structural design, I mean, I was going to ask in the first one as well, but I couldn't unmute myself. The form of the skylight that you created, in projects like this, for personal reasons maybe, I would like to see a little bit more bravery in terms of introduction of a more distinguishable featural form. In the previous one, I think we saw it in that memory tube that they created. Was there any reason for this formal elaborations being a little bit more in the modest side? And my second question would be the greenery that you've also showing here. I must say my least favorite part is that palm trees in a place like Izmir. Although it's very popular, I know it looks nice for some people. There are a lot of other trees that you can also integrate, which has larger shading, nicer feeling. I must say that was a little bit of an additional.
I will just give an answer to this question, the last one. Those palms are already existing. I mean, now what you are seeing is a view from. Now they are not exactly the same type, but this is a view from the garden, from the courtyard of a Signora Synagogue. So this does not belong to the building. It's not the patio of the building. It's like they step out and looking at the building from a different property, from a different situation. So this does not belong to the building. It's like an hypothetical view, like opposite view.
I understand.
So it is yeah. Maybe they haven't described. But about the first question, please give an answer. Why did you play safe, not so brave in structural terms? That's the question.
Because we wanted to make more realistic projects, to take less risk with we are designing, but also at the same time we have wanted to create a new atmosphere in Kemeraltı. That's why we couldn't be too brave while we are playing with the place. Maybe Ayşenur, you want to say something about it?
I agree with you, Hazal.
Congratulations, it was a nice presentation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else?
Can I ask a question?
Who is Angelos? Yes, Angelos. Yes.
I was particularly intrigued by this connection that we're looking at this slide. This is actually one of the most interesting spaces going on in this this presentation. Like this one and the entry, I don't know which entry was it, but like the narrow one, they all had this sort of transparency, which was very intriguing in the sense that it acts like a filter between the inside and the outside and kind of dissolves. So that was very interesting, but it brought a question to me. I was wondering whether it's like okay to have a direct view towards the synagogue courtyard, or is it a private space? Could one negotiate a more direct, or a connection, even a functional connection, like use it as a passage to connect to the synagogue? Maybe if the synagogue was a museum, then you connect with it instead of just having a glass wall. So I was wondering whether it's okay, like as a tourist. it's a true question.
This is an answer, indirect answer to Nassim. I don't know if the community would be agree with such an introspection. Open view.
The point of friction. This is what go ahead.
This is what I'm asking. Is it a point of friction to have a direct view, or like in which case we would want to create more filters? Still have maintain this openness, but create more filters on having a direct view towards the courtyard. And at the same time, like if it's okay, then maybe we could negotiate an even better connection to the synagogue.
Well, I like this idea of, in each work, connecting to the environment, to the neighbors. And I like this idea. I'm not in a position to tell you whether it would be okay, it would be approved, but I know that it's gonna be a sort of museum with the controlled entries to it. So I think that it could be problematic, but at the same time, I think that it should be taken into account. So this is something to be discussed. And not answered only by me. There's a whole committee, architects that should put their input into it.
May I add something very shortly to Nesim Benjoya? We researched the records of this building, and we found some historic maps about the buildings, this building and the synagogues. And the synagogue attached to the building had the right for a path.
There's a path along the Bayrak.
Within Albayrak in the past. So there was a path, there was a connection in the past for the synagogue. It was a right of the synagogue to get out of the synagogue and reach the Havra Street from that point. So it happened in the past.
Yeah, but you are right, there was a path, but the path was outside the walls of the synagogue.
Yes, there was a connection.
And one of the entrances to Havra Synagogue, which is adjacent to Albayrak, was there. So you had to go to this path. This was done in the past or not, I don't know, but this is something to be decided and to be decided. And deciding that, we also have to take into account the thought that it will be a controlled area. I mean, it's gonna be a kind of museum. Tours will come there, and it couldn't be opened by all sides. There will be a entrance point with tickets to be sold, etc., etc. But I have noted it to talk with our architect and the committee of the foundation. I mean, the board.
That's good. I mean, to generate a note on your agenda is like the project addressed something interesting. That is.
We are very happy.
I mean, now you are on the,
on the other hand, Angelos, maybe now that I think, why not leave it closed but transparent, and that will make maybe the appetite come to visit the other places. And if some activity is taking place here in front of your eyes, so you're not inside, but then you can come through the door and participate in this action as well, or contemplate.
But that's actually what the project is proposing. There is no passage in between. It's just it's just a transparent screen. There is no. I mean, it wouldn't be possible to talk
Well, we have to check this point. I understand Angelos's point. You know, then we will make a bigger space to be in it and to spend time in it, for example.
Yes, and the boundary can still be negotiated. Like you could use perforated metal or, you know, this déployé type of thing with rectangular openings on the bottom line of the bottom row of the glass panes. So you can have a mediated view of the courtyard, like a direct view, and then you can have like a reminiscence, like it's transparent from the head up. From the eye level and up, it's transparent. So you can look at the sky, and then you can see through the metal mesh.
Yeah,
and
I understand.
So maybe you can create an appetite this way. So it's still a border to be negotiated.
Could be. I mean, these are things that
not black and white.
I think Hazal and Ayşenur should definitely take this into account and make maybe an option for that. And we can. I mean, this is something to be discussed, of course.
Thanks for your comments. It's very good to hear from you. Comment,
Thank you.
Anybody else? Because I think we should step to the other project. Otherwise, we are going to see the sunset tonight here.
May I, like,
sure,
a really
sure.
small
Sure.
First of all, hello to all, and thank you obviously
Welcome.
for the invitation. So I will be really quick. And I really like your presentation. I think the graphical language and also the characteristic of the interior is really nice. My question is about, maybe it's also a comment, but you know, there is a certain level of charming air of these traditional passages. And I think that comes from the easygoing atmosphere which is happening there. You know, like there's always a kind of an enjoyment of like eating in these small street food restaurants versus to a completely modern restaurant, let's say. And integrating a totally new modern design, you know, to a traditional thing is obviously really really hard. I was just wondering, because maybe you haven't shown it like as, you know, as collages or as in a graphic language, how do you imagine this integration? Like how, like when I, let's say, walk on these traditional passages and streets and I suddenly see this modern design, and how do you think that this integration, like how is the effect of that? Do you have any ideas of that?
Yeah, actually we thought about it before, because Kemeraltı is a very historic place, and we were trying to design a modern place here, and also we should integrate with it Kemeraltı. And that's why, as I answered before the question, Serkan Bey, we were trying to keep simple all the things. And also when we are traveling the Kemeraltı and talk with the esnaf workers in there, they always said to us, it is too boring for us because we are used to go same places every day. That's why we want to make new things with the traditional things as well. Yeah, and we are trying to combine two things actually, but I don't know, can we show it or we couldn't. And also we put the craftsmanships and the food courts at the same place, because people came here for take something, for eat something, and they can watch the craftsmanship and they can connect with the with the tradition as well. That is the our logic while we are connecting with past and the new.
These are key points.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I obviously understood all these craftsman ideas and how to integrate them, but I think the colleges are maybe too clean. You know, they seem to be too
modern.
Maybe not. I wouldn't say modern, but you know, if you even put a real person to that college, to that graphic language, then it would completely change, I think. So it wouldn't be that much clean. I think you have as the idea and as the design, you know, you have this certain thing, but when the graphic is too clean, you know, then it's a bit, then I question things like that. That's why I said this, because even you showed an image where you showed the neighboring elevations of the buildings, I think. Even there, the graphic was really, here. Even here it was really clear cut, let's say, you know. Maybe not a white person, but you know, a real person. I don't know. It's your graphic language, but I think you have the idea, but maybe showing was a little bit missing. That's why I asked, but thank you for the answer and congratulations for the nice project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sibel. I think
time
we
to go.
Yes, time to step to the new one. Thank you, Azal. Thank you, Ayşenur.
You're welcome.
Geçmiş olsun, as we say in this region of the world. Now we have Bengi and Begüm.
Hello, everyone.
Presenting their project, Enlightenment. And after then we will have a conversation and then a small break, and then we will come back with the other two.
Yeah.
All right.
Welcome everybody again. My name is Bengi Şentürk, and with my partner Begüm Özer. Today we are going to present our proposal for Albayrak Passage, entitled With Enlightenment. I'm sharing my screen.
Bengi, it's ready.
Okay, just a minute. Is that a full screen now?
Yes.
Okay. As already remarked during the introductory session, one of the greatest value of Albayrak Passage is its urban context and socio-cultural environment. The building is located in Havralar District, which in Turkish language indicates the region of the synagogues. Moreover, the building is located in Kemeraltı, the old bazaar area of the city of Izmir. Symbolically, Albayrak Passage, by losing its original function and its commercial purpose, had remained in a dark spot for a long while, yet it is surrounded by an invaluable cluster of cultural heritage. Our proposal is to bring the building back to light and to recreate and extend the original character of the building, an urban and commercial passage. And our project title emphasizes this intention. The transition from dark to light is actually an enlightenment process in which both the historical texture of the region and the building itself are revalued. Signora Synagogue, one of the synagogues composing the Jewish cultural heritage cluster, directly tucks Albayrak Passage on the northwest side of the building. The courtyard of the synagogue represents a valuable focus for a visual connection from the inner space of the building. Therefore, a consistent architectural intervention was proposed regarding the northwest elevation of Albayrak Passage and a portion of its roof, which creates a continuous three-dimensional transparent volume enclosed by vertical and horizontal glass screens, allowing the wider integration of views beside and above surrounding buildings and open-air space composing the Jewish Cultural Heritage Center. In this way, the rehabilitation and redesign of the skylight structure of Albayrak Passage becomes a major key design element of our proposal. This intervention materialized the potential of the building and increases the contextual value of it by creating an observation point above Kemeraltı and the Jewish Cultural Heritage Center. The observation terrace will then offer the chance to integrate the building within featured touristic tours, and this way increasing the visibility of Albayrak Passage. Moreover, this intervention has a strong impact toward the interior space of the building by ensuring an additional source of natural daylight, especially on northwest side of the Albayrak Passage. As previously mentioned, Albayrak Passage is a commercial building. It represents a symbolic threshold between Havra Street and the Synagogue district due to its location. Two separate access points allow the entrance into Albayrak Passage, located at both terminals of the L-shaped indoor passage. These two entrance gates have different character due to the fact that they are located on street having different urban characteristics. Havra Street is a vital and dynamic urban axis, constantly filled with people and having a strong commercial character. 937th Street is a side connection, much quieter comparing to Havra Street, which in a close future is supposed to become a strategic pathway to reach the Jewish Cultural Heritage Center. Therefore, our project intends to treat both elevations of Albayrak Passage with the consideration of these two different scenarios. Albayrak Passage was built during the early Republican period. It is characterized by the typical griddle composition of the facade with large openings. The project intends to propose the minimum modification of the original composition with the only addition of a shading element framing the facade on its upper edge. This perspective view shows the eastern elevation of the building along 937th Street in its proposed configuration. Similarly, this perspective view showed the southern elevation of the building along Havra Street in its proposed configuration, redesigned by using the same language of the larger elevation previously presented. As mentioned earlier, the building is characterized by the L-shaped central passage. Several decisions were made in relation with this characteristic configuration of the layout. The first is to strengthen the passage character of Albayrak building by locating a new social space at the intersection of two axes with the vertical extension of it in the form of a glass volume that integrates a large portion of the roof. At the arrival point of the major vertical circulation road is the external terminal of the building with the observation terrace. Another important decision was to protect the commercial character of the inner passage by locating the majority of shops along the central corridor and the ground level, which are supposed to include space for gastronomy and artisan shops. In the right side, you can see how the distribution of all spaces composing the building program are arranged, with the indication of gastronomy areas, shopping areas, educational workshop areas, and shoemaker memory spaces, all linked to separate social spaces distributed on both levels of the building.
The slide shows all key design elements of the project categorized in relation with the major impact on movement means as the inner circulation scheme of the building, or in relation with the physical appearance as planar or volumetric elements. Our major conceptual approach based on lines finds the physical application in the spatial proposals. In fact, in addition to the existing gallery space, new gallery spaces are proposed, marking both buffer space located on both edges of the building on Havra Street and 937th Street, and where major social spaces are located. The project proposes an increased verticality of the inner space with the introduction of newly designed stairways and elevator and several objects means as large-scale furnishing elements distributed along the major circulation axis. The project addresses memory, the recollection of the original function of the building by proposing a series of vertical surfaces representing scenes from the time of the shoemakers. The perspective section shows the distribution of commercial spaces along the central void of the building. On the right side, the project locates artisan shop both ground floor and first floor. On the left side, spaces from gastronomy on both ground and first floor. The section also shows our draft proposal for the redesign of the skylight, and besides it, on the right side, it is also visible to linear terrace open on northern side and overlooking the Jewish Cultural Heritage Center. The terrace represents the outer extension of the inner space and additional space for small events and social interaction. In central position, white metal frames marking the verticality of the inner void of the building create seating solution and communication surfaces. This perspective section shows the inner distribution of spaces and functions along the longitudinal axis of Albayrak Passage. Starting from the right side, an entrance gate from 937th Street and the nearly introduces gallery space connecting both levels of social spaces. Centrally, this sequence of artisan shop on the ground level and a gastronomic space on the first floor. On the left side, the section shows the new stairway connection both levels of the building and ending upward the terrace floor. The stairways open up upon the major social space in the building located in the northwest area of Albayrak Passage and surrounded by glazed partitions allow view towards the courtyard of the synagogue. Here is an image showing the current situation of building elevation on 937th Street. We want to show it once more in order to introduce the intervention we propose on the edge of the building. And here is our proposal for the redesign of the elevation, characterized by the integration of the shading canopy that concludes the upper horizontal edge of the facade and that work as a lighting device at night.
On this perspective view, shows the gallery we decided to create on the inner edge of the building along 937th Street. The gallery connects visually both levels of the cafeteria on the eastern side of the building, doubling the height of the space and increasing the quantity of daylight in this area. Here is an image of the current situation of the central corridor of Albayrak Passage, seen from the entrance gate from 937th Street. The commercial character of the passage is protected. A combination of artisan shops and spaces for gastronomy is distributed along the major axis of the building, where storefronts are visibly designed by keeping the general composition of the inner elevation. All signage elements have same character to unify the aesthetic of the passage. Moreover, this render show our proposal for the introduction of white metal frames enclosed with white metal meshes, emphasizing the verticality of the central gallery of the corridor by providing seating solution for the visitors. In this render, show the intersection point of two internal circulation axes of the building, where the project proposes the creation of a large common space for social interaction and small events, all surrounded by a new glass facade system, opening up the inner space of the building toward the courtyard of Senora Synagogue. An elevator is here proposed in order to connect all levels of the building, with the inclusion of the new level suggested by the project, that is the terrace floor. And here is an image of the first floor of the building as visible from the arrival point from the original stairway. And here is the proposal for the redesign of this space, characterized by the introduction of a new balustrade framing, linear gallery spaces, and having same language of the seating elements distributed along the main corridor on the ground floor. As for the ground level, original terrazzo tiles are protected.
Here is another image of the first floor of the building, showing the linearity of the central circulation space marked by a sequence of the gallery voids and enclosed on the upper side from the linear skylights. And here is the proposal for the redesign of the central circulation space of the first floor, characterized by new balustrades. On the right and left side, a sequence of space of gastronomy is here visible, with the inclusion of the educational space as well for cooking classes. In this perspective view, you can see also proposal for the redesign of the linear skylight referenced at the griddle structural scheme of the building. And here is the proposal for the introduction of a new floor level aligned with the original roof of the building and reachable via stairway and elevator. This level will allow the view above Kemeraltı and the Jewish Cultural Heritage Center, creating a new vibrant experience for the visitor of Albayrak Passage. This perspective view shows the linear terrace proposed by the project inserted into the northern side of the roof. From this terrace, visitors will be able to have a wide view above Kemeraltı, and at the same time, they will appreciate the inner void of the building. This image shows the night view of the building facade located on 937th Street. Lighting elements are integrated within the newly added canopy. And here is a night view of the first floor circulation space, showing how lighting elements are integrated with the structure of the skylight.
And now we want to have a more detailed description of some relevant spaces of Albayrak Passage, especially in relation with the proposed materiality. We will start from 937th Street side, where our co-working cafe is located. As already mentioned before, the project proposes the creation of an additional gallery spaces in order to modify the spatial character of this area and to connect visually both levels of the cafe. The cafe is also directly connected to a new stairway, where a spatial area for social encounters and memory wall are complementary key design elements of the design proposal. On this slide show the material selection for this space, complementing original materials with new ones having similar chromatic character. This scheme shows the organization of the space on the ground level with the interactive area on 937th Street, the counter of the cafeteria, space for consumption, social interaction, and informal working. And here is the scheme of the upper floor of the co-working cafe, where different informal working solutions are offered with the inclusion of a spatial area for workshop, chromatically emphasizing yellow. The linear gallery space connects visually ground and first floor, allowing large views above 937th Street. And this section shows in detail how the space is organized in its vertical direction and how all vertical surfaces are treated with the integration of movable and immovable furnishing elements. On the right side, you can see the vertical circulation elements, the stairway connecting the two levels. On the ground floor, beside the stairway, an additional common space for informal gathering is integrated into the design of the new vertical circulation system. And here is the cross-section of the co-working cafe, showing the relation with the central passage of the building on both levels. And here is the relation between the co-working cafe and 937th Street, with the possibility to serve beverages directly on the street side. Here, the vertical continuity of the background surface of the counter is obtained with a combination of ceramic elements and lighting devices screened with white metal meshes. And here is one more perspective view of the ground floor level of the co-working cafe, showing the general materiality of the space and seating solutions, offering a wide range of informal working solution and social interaction. Here is a close-up on the vertical circulation areas, where an informal gathering tribune is arranged. On the walls, original shoemaker shop labels are exhibited with the intention to integrate memory into the design of the space. And here is a view of the upper level of co-working cafe, directly open to the central circulation area of the building. The special area for workshop is here visible with its yellow chromatic finishing. And here is a close-up of the workshop area of a co-working cafe.
The second area we wanted to present in a more detailed manner is a large social space located at the intersection on the two main circulation axes of the building, in closer distance with the access gate from Havra Street. As mentioned before, this is the main gathering point for the visitor of the passage, representing the start step of the vertical experience that links all floors of the building and ends up to terrace level. We have decided to name the system of all these spaces arranged vertically as lighthouse. Starting from the entrance gate of the building, here's the project proposes the extension of the existing gallery space. Moving towards the intersection point of the building access, a system of social space and vertical circulations element is created from the totality of what we have defined as the lighthouse. The materiality of this space is resolving by ensuring a similar language with the building. Here is the three-dimensional scheme of the area, showing the distribution of spaces on the ground level, including a series of social spaces. And here is the three-dimensional scheme of the area, showing the distribution of spaces on the first floor level, where a large educational workshop and cooking class is located, visually connected with Havra Street. Here is also visible the extended gallery space on Havra Street inner edge, dissolving a building access area with a similar spatial solution as described for 937th Street. This section shows the organization of spaces, either the ground floor and the first floor, with the inclusions of the new terrace level. On the left side, you can see the tall inner space characterizing the social gathering area, visually connected with the surroundings. This section shows the organization of space, either the ground floor and the first floor, with the inclusion of the new terrace level. Here we can see the education space for cooking classes located on the first floor. Here, once again, the street view of the building elevation on Havra Street. And here is the view of circulation corridor as visible from the entrance gate located on Havra Street. A series of social and commercial spaces are located on both sides of the corridor. And here is a close-up of gathering space on the ground floor, completely surrounded by glazed partitions allowing the view towards the courtyard and synagogues. This is characterized by the presence of tribune of informal daily use and for small events. Here is the first floor of the lighthouse with a view above the gallery space. And here is a close-up of the educational space for cooking classes, visually connected with the entrance of the building and Havra Street.
And thank you for listening. We will happy to hear your comments and questions.
I can start with a brief comment, then afterwards a question about that. My perception of the, when I look at the atmosphere you created, the choice of materials, the forms, everything coming together, I would use for instance, the adjectives of it's rather shiny, bright, crispy, smooth, that kind of interior. Then thinking about the old structure you took over, that passage, and that was, you have expressed it very well on your photos, old photos. It was rather, that there was a roughness there. So I thought about while you were showing your renders, by the way, thanks a lot for this hard work. Not only you, also the previous former presentations, lots of hard work there, obviously, concentration. Then I thought, one of the fundamental things in this project, obviously, is, how you position yourself regarding the old structure. Do you see it as a, historical document? What is it? And my perception was, now I wonder your opinion, my perception was as if your design, the shiny interiors, no problem about, I'm very okay with that, but as if it swallowed it, consumed it, right? It can be, for some, it can be positive, so some maybe it can be negative, but what is your opinion about, what was your intention? What was your intention regarding, how to deal with that structure? How do you see it? How do you see the relationship between your structure and that structure, old structure, and your design?
Actually, we considered that situation as a combination. Some parts of the building we try to protect with materiality to show old structure and old situation of building. And then we actually especially protect this part because we want to show the new part of the our project, which is lighthouse. So some parts of the building we try to protect this structure, and some typological decisions were made to protect in the building. I understood wrong or right, I don't know, but
so,
is there any other question?
Before passing to another question, I want to say, probably Ahmet wanted to address the fact that the project should be a little bit rougher, right? Is that what you mean? Could be a little bit rougher.
I understood wrong.
I would say if I need to make myself much more clear, I would express something, the distinction between the new structure, the old structure. Where is the old structure? What is the role of the original structure in my design? That kind of questions, they could be much more clear. But the reason I asked the Bengi and her colleague was, I wondered their opinions about it, their intentions about it, because obviously they can have other intentions.
So, I mean, the question simply is, did you try to diversify what is new and what is old, or have you simply merged everything into something that looks like newly constructed? That's the question.
Actually, we try to merge them, but some parts of the building we try to only show the new one, actually, especially on the roof side. So we try to do this.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for your question.
I mean, so let me turn it into a suggestion. Probably you need to wonder slightly more about what to keep. I mean, in the way you identify values. I mean, the way you identify values must be always consistent, and any value must be revealed or protected or kept as readable, legible within the project. So I think I'm totally agree with that. The majority of futures can change, but whatever you consider as a value must be there, and maybe can be even as rough as it is left behind, from time. So the contrast in between totally new and absolutely decayed element can be still visible and legible. That's an important thing. Actually, one of the fundamental of conservation-based project. It has to. You need originality, authenticity is always important. Is there any other question? Because we are, of course, I mean, a little bit larger. That generally happens because yes, I think there is something. Hector, do you want to address by voice your question directly, or you prefer? Hector, you prefer maybe you can read the comment of Hector in the chat.
Begum, could you read, because I couldn't see the chat part now.
You need to activate it at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
At the bottom menu.
I can see now.
So Hector is saying the final image design with the geometrical composition made with triangles reminds me of a recent project done in Madrid. Also to reactivate the previous building in the city center called ABC Museum. However, the pieces they are using the other way around, more of them opaque and just letting the light goes through, and necessary does not work. My microphone, sorry. Okay, sorry, I didn't read that. I didn't read. So Hector is saying that there might be some inspiration for you to have a look at this project, ABC Museum in
also, he mentioned opacity.
The opacity,
on the,
yes.
We try to transparent this part because this is a intersection point, and it also gives a characteristic feature, which is a circulation axis on the building. Okay. So we try to emphasize this area with to try more transparent, to connect a visual connection with Senora Synagogue courtyard.
Yeah.
And also all around the building. Thank you again.
Yes, normally we would have a break right now, but if you agree, maybe we can keep going. So because I don't want to trap all of you for too long. Let's continue. Okay, let's make it fluid. So now it's time of Furkan and Burak with their project entitled Patches.
Hello everyone. I'm share the screen now.
Okay.
Is that visible now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Welcome everybody. My name is Furkan Biçeroğlu.
My name is Burak Koyun.
Today we are going to present our project entitled Patches. We want to introduce our project by showing some images of the characteristics environment of the streets of Kemeraltı region. As you can see, this image represents one of the street views of the area, linear narrow commercial pedestrian walkways, characterized by shops on both sides, generally extending their product showcases, occupying the street surface. Curtains or a variety of different shading elements are creating a sort of continuous canopy above the street. Signages have different type of shape and size. In general, we may define this image as a patchwork composed of several different elements where sellers and buyers have a relevant role in characterizing the space. Unplanned and spontaneous incremental processes are frequently visible in the streets of Kemeraltı, the result of a continual layering of signs and traces. Patches, as we wanted to name those.
And here's a close-up of a typical storefront of a fish shop. You can again notice the extension of the sales activity and product display across the boundaries of the commercial unit, the canopies above the street, and the intimate distance between sellers and buyers. We want to highlight this environmental character of the region to introduce our project approach.
At the same time, we want to describe the urban context of Albayrak Passage. This aerial view of the building, with the help of graphic elements, shows the double relation established by the building with two streets of Kemeraltı. On the left, the major commercial axis of Havralar District, Havra Street, a very vibrant pedestrian walkway filled constantly with people and connecting the heart of Kemeraltı with the archaeological site of Agora. On the bottom, 937 Street, a much brighter pedestrian walkway linking Havra Street with the Synagogue's region. Surrounding the building from its western to eastern edge, here visible on the right side of the picture, the cluster of Jewish synagogues, a great cultural heritage that each project proposal of Albayrak Passage had always to acknowledge. And here is where we want to introduce our design strategy. Simply, the project proposes an interpretation of the character of Kemeraltı streets, a variety of patches for the implementation of a series of interventions aimed at introducing new elements, characterizing either the outer appeal of the building in its facades and street relations and the interior space, while proposing the protection of the original passage, atmosphere, and aesthetic character. This diagram shows the key design element proposed by our project with regard to the building elevations on Havra Street and 937 Street. It also shows a relevant proposal for the integration of a strategic space for social interaction located along the major circulation axis of the building. We will see these elements in detail in the following slides.
And here is the diagram of the ground floor, where the recession from the street borders characterize either the proposed solution for the redefinition of the building facade on Havra Street and the one on 937 Street. This solution intends to create a buffer space on Havra Street to allow a sort of detachment from the chaotic character of the commercial axis. On 937 Street, this solution allows the creation of semi-closed area for leisure and social interaction. Moreover, the diagram shows the proposal of the redefinition of the entries gate on 937 Street in line with the same intention explained before. And here is also visible the proposal for the design of an inner tribune for social interaction located centrally along the longitudinal circulation axis, obtained by the elimination of one commercial unit. The tribune is also the new major vertical connection of the building. And here is the diagram of the first floor, highlighting major proposals. Again, regarding the area in close relation with 937 Street and a special zone proposed on the first floor, in continuity with the tribune for workshop and artisan production.
This perspective section shows the longitudinal axis of the building in its proposed appeal. On the right, the entrance gate from 937th Street in its new recessive position. Centrally, the cluster of artisan shops and workshops on both floor levels connected via the tribune. On the left, additional areas for commercial purpose and social interaction. Through the system of galleries, natural daylight washes the passage from the top.
Now we want to describe in detail our proposal for the system of facade and spaces composing the area of the building located on the east, in close relation with 937th Street. Here you have an image representing the current station. And here is our proposal for the redefinition of the facade and entrance gate on 937th Street, characterized by a combination of solids and voids, movementing the elevation and creating a series of closed semi-open and open spaces.
By the help of these sketches and with the render of the building elevation, we want to explain the approach of the project for the redefinition of the building facade and building axis, characterized by an appearance spontaneous mixture of solid and void. This solution generates completely new appeal of the building and at the same time creates a variety of new relations between the indoor space and the outer street, with several buffer spaces meant for leisure and social interaction separated from the street floor. This perspective view shows the new relation proposed by the project between indoor and outdoor spaces of the building along 937th Street. The idea is to integrate into the boundaries of the building activities, generally occupying the public street, with the aim ensuring more intimate opportunities for social interaction and consumption.
And here is a view from the cafeteria located on 937th Street, showing at the background the access to the main inner circulation corridor of the building, the passage itself. Again, a space in between belonging to the building but also oriented to the street.
And now we want to introduce the second focus of our project proposal, the creation of a special cluster of commercial spaces, workshop areas, and social interaction located along the major circulation axis of Albayrak Passage. This axonometric view shows a portion of the building, the one interested by the redefinition proposal. The elimination of a commercial unit and the demolition of a portion of the first floor slab allows the integration of a limited size tribune meant as a social gathering point for the building visitors, which becomes at the same time an S-major vertical connection element linking to the first floor where spaces for informal working, workshops, and artisan production are located. The idea is to simulate the spontaneity of an urban street creating the passage, one of the patches composing the environmental variety of Kemeraltı. This section perspective shows the distribution of spaces along the central corridor of the building with a close-up on the tribune, artisan shops on the ground level, informal working spaces and workshops areas on the first floor. The system of original galleries connecting visually the central circulation area of ground and first floor levels is reformulated according to the new layout. We have imagined possible users of the space. We want to highlight the fact that a mix of spaces having different character and use will ensure the attraction into the building of a new pattern of user profiles. This way extending the current perception of the building and stimulating new future possibilities. This axonometric view, showing only the ground level of the tribune zone, shows our proposal for the extension of commercial units. The idea is to pair spaces in order to offer larger commercial units consisting a sales space, the showcase of the shop, and an additional independent space for artisan production, which will also offer to visitors walking along the central corridor the view of craftsmanship activities.
And here is a closer view on the commercial unit proposed by the project with the doubling option. Lightweight metal frames will characterize the interior design of the shops and ensure the partial isolation of sales and artisan production spaces. In a way, reminding of the old furnishing elements characterizing former shoemakers' shops. Here is a picture of the current station of the storefront of the shop located along the central corridor of the building.
And here is the elevation of the shops as visible from the central corridor of the building in its proposed appeal. The project proposed a minimal touch with the rehabilitation of original vitrine systems characterized by wooden frames and transparent screens with the application of very basic signages solutions in line with the original stickers of the shoemaker's shop.
And here is another view of the shops and tribune. And now we will move to upper level. And this perspective section shows the vertical relation established by the tribune as a way up from the central corridor of the building and the upper level, offering at the same time informal solution for social interaction and individual permanence in Albayrak Passage.
This axonometric view shows the organization of space starting from the arrival point of the tribune, a sequence of space for informal working and workshops characterizes the area designed in reference with the language already applied for the ground level. This open space organization allows the fluidity of the circulation and promotes social encounters, integrating horizontal pathways and vertical visual relations through the galleries.
And this is the view from the arrival landing of the tribune toward the workshop and informal working area.
And here is where our journey throughout our project proposal ends. Thank you for listening, and we will be happy to hear your comments and to reply to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Furkan. Thank you, Burak. I think this was a different approach, much more. Much less, let's say, dominant. But I would like to hear few opinions, if any.
I have a little comment.
Yeah.
Actually, I liked your approach by recessing the facades and integrated the street to the interior space. It's a very good approach, I think. It also makes the passage more welcoming and more integrated with the local community users of the space. So it's a good approach. I congratulated you for this. I also liked the integration of the furnitures with the spaces. Your building furnitures are so effective, and they also work as building systems. So I think it's a good approach too. Congratulations, thank you.
Thank you very much for your good comments.
I can make a comment, if that's possible.
Yes, please, of course.
Thank you for the presentation and for the nice work. The name Patches and the first beginning of the presentation was very inspiring to see the real local area. And I liked how you put the real people in design. We saw the real people and how they would move in the building. And I like the idea of the shop and workplace together, the doubling, I think you used the word was. I like that idea also. one thing my eyes wanted to see was more the side part. Actually, you said you put minimum touch, you did minimum touch to the design of the building, but somehow my eyes were searching for some kind of interpretation, some kind of, it didn't have to be modern, but something, some touch. My eyes were, I was expecting to see the patches inside the building also, maybe, or on the facade. Something was just to see. The interpretation of the function also to the seeing aesthetic. So congratulations, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I would like to say congrats about this project. It was an idea more simple, but more humanity. These students want to have a honest approach. I think for me, it's not technology or high quality, but it's closer to people and to human relationship. And I like it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also would like to just comment, following the comments of the other people before. I also think that the concept of patches is very good because it allows for kind of like the messiness of the reality of life, where sometimes I feel designers like things to be, we all like things to be very perfect. So it's a challenge to incorporate diversity, both aesthetically and in terms of functions. And I think this project does that very well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carlotta. Thank you. Yes, I really agree with your comments. I mean, they have got an interesting point. It was for them. I mean, in the evolution of the project, it wasn't that easy now to turn it to make that interpretation that AJ was looking for, was searching for. That interpretation took time to appear, and of course it was maybe not as conscious as it could have been. So it turned into a sort of a fragmentation. So the removal became removal and substitution with something like the wireframe of existing solid elements. So it's like making the building naked in a way. So but and the patch became mostly like a void, a way of connecting, more than becoming a dominant element. Wanted to be like a void, like a way of linking things together by introducing physical relation, transparency in a modest way, very, very, very modest. Yeah. Thank you for your comments. Anybody else? Then otherwise we can thank you, Furkan. Thank you, Burak. We can have the last presentation, and then we will all be free then to after this long meeting. Now it's the time of AJ and Bartu. You are connected. Yes, I believe you are.
Hey, we are here.
Yeah. So you can introduce your project now.
Okay, right now I'm
put all the energy that you have into your presentation, because of course the audience is a little bit
That's okay.
Yes, I mean shake them.
Okay, it's our job,
Yeah.
All right.
Welcome everybody. My name is Ece Kişioğlu.
And my name is Bartu Mısırlı. And today we are going to present our project entitled Memorial Journey.
Just a second, Bartu. Who is sharing the screen now?
I am sharing it.
Because we see some. Are you sharing from internet?
I think so.
Can you share it from not from internet but from Acrobat?
Okay, hold on.
Because from internet it shows some strange surfaces.
Is it okay now?
But this is again from internet. Open your file, not from a cloud, but from
I'm already opening my file, but
I see there is okay. All right.
I'll try to share my just screen, not the program. Is it clear now?
Yeah, there are few surfaces. Anyway, now it's better than before.
Okay, it's better. All right, we are keep going. And as already remarked during the introductory session, Kemeraltı is the heart of the city of Izmir. Albayrak Passage is located in one of the districts of Kemeraltı named Havralar region, where Havralar stands for synagogues. In this slide, we want to remark once more that our project site is unique, given the fact that Albayrak Passage is surrounded by the cluster of Jewish synagogues, representing as an extraordinary heritage value for the area and the building as well. As previously mentioned, the building was used to host shoemakers.
One of the greatest value of Albayrak Passage is its urban context and social cultural environment. On the southern side of the building is Havra Street, a strategical commercial axis for Kemeraltı district, characterized with its vitality, the flavor of local gastronomic products, and the constant movement of local and visiting people. On the eastern side of Albayrak Passage is 937th Street, which is, when compared to Havra Street, absolutely a much quieter and a more intimate urban connection. The building is surrounded on its west, north, and east side by the Jewish Cultural Heritage Cluster, composed of several synagogues. The passage through the building has characteristic L shape, accessible either from Havra Street and 937th Street. Along this skylight provides natural daylight from the roof above the major circulation axis.
In this slide, we wanted to summarize some of the results of a SWOT analysis we have conducted as preliminary step to support the project proposal. We consider as a strength the fact that the building has two accesses and therefore two elevations open to different streets. One of the major weaknesses of the building is the size of individual commercial units. We must remark the fact that the building consists of 61 commercial units, each having very limited internal dimensions. Another weaknesses of the building may be identified in the fact that commercial spaces located on the ground level have obviously a better visibility when compared to the ones located on the first floor, although the upper level is characterized by a greater natural daylight and ventilation.
Interspace. The interspace connects the two main spaces. Passages are also defined as interspace of their location. It gives people two opportunity to transition, at the same time allowing them to experience. Albayrak Passage is an interspace that's connecting Havra Street and 937th Street. The aim is to create an interspaces that include memory, transition, and experience. When people walk in interspace to cross the main space, they can experience the feel of transition in the interspace and experience the cultural intersection by themselves.
Our design strategy aims at proposing some key interventions that will that will have an impact on the general system of circulation and social spaces, and at the same will merge some of the commercial units in order to provide wider spaces for future businesses. Moreover, the intention to promote the permanence of the memory of the building, the story of shoemakers once having their shops here, is a key aim of our project. We have categorized our proposals by referring to three different aims. Pass, for the modification of the circulation system. Age, for interventions aimed at creating a memory timeline space within the building. site for interventions aimed at establishing visual relations with the surrounding areas and buildings, and especially with the Jewish cultural heritage clusters.
And here is three-dimensional description of our design strategy with the indication of the proposed building program related with pace, age, and focus. Pace zone, due to the spatial relation with Havra Street, consists of gastronomic spaces for street food. Age zone again consists of gastronomic spaces, but from the concept of street food here, we move to the one of the traditional food. And focus zone consists of artisan shops.
In this slide, we want to highlight that the main focus of our project is on the vertical circulation of the building. Our proposal intends to redesign all stairways by relocating those within the building. Stairways will have a more visible position and they will be larger in size. Moreover, they will integrate other relevant features such as the visual connection with the outer space and building and the recollection of the building memories. Another important aspect of the project is the verticality of artisan shops, where spaces for sales and spaces for production belonging to same business are located on different levels and eternally connected. This way, sales and production are taken under one roof with the aim of involving visitors in the total process of creativity.
And memory timeline. Memory is a fundamental aspect for our project. The memory of shoemakers and the memory of the building itself. We are proposing to design a large vertical connection space exactly at the center of the major circulation axis that will distribute visitors between the two levels of Albayrak Passage while creating a memory timeline experience. This image shows the original character of the passage.
This perspective view shows our proposal for the vertical connection space. On the first floor, as the border of the memory timeline, we intend to reuse original vitrine timber frames for the creation of transparent partition that will ideally represent the past and at the same isolate the space for the memorial journey. Original shop level will be kept in order to address all old enterprises.
A collection of original pictures will be reproduced and displayed on the surface on the major wall enclosing the stairway connection. Here again, the idea of the frames comes to support the proposal, a sort of duplication of the original vitrines to allow the introspection within the fictional space of old shops. And this image shows the proposed composition of the elevation project.
And this perspective view shows the spatial solution for it. Memory is a relevant aspect of this semester project and a complex design problem. This is the way we are proposing to integrate memory into our proposal, by considering the reuse of valuable features of the building and the creation of new meanings.
And here is a close-up of our proposal for the first floor partition made of original vitrine frames of shoemakers' shops.
In relation to our proposal for the circulation system, the project considers to have a light impact on the original circulation axis of the building in order to emphasize new proposal for the vertical circulation. This diagram marks in red system of circulation. We have highlighted in blue all spaces for consumption and social interaction, somehow protected from the faster flow of visitors moving throughout the building.
Here is a perspective view of the ground floor major circulation axis. On the right, you can see the memory timeline stairway enclosing a cafeteria. On the left, a sequence of spaces for gastronomy, and on the background, the access point from 937th Street.
And here is a perspective view of the first major circulation axis. On the right, you can see the memory timeline stairway, enclosed by an installation made with original vitrine frames of Albayrak Passage. On the left, sequence of spaces for gastronomy.
This perspective section shows the longitudinal axis of the building in its new view. On the right side, the entrance from the 937th Street and the third stairway of the project. Centrally, a sequence of spaces for gastronomy, and on the right, areas for consumption and social interaction, where through large openings and great visual connection with the building surroundings is proposed in order to integrate existing values of the region.
This perspective section shows the cross view along the central axis. On the left, the memory timeline stairway and the cafeteria enclosed by it on the ground floor. On the right, spaces for gastronomy located either on the ground and the first floor. And centrally, the two level of circulation of Albayrak Passage with the longitudinal skylight running above those.
This perspective section shows the cross-axis of Albayrak Passage as originating from the entrance gate located on Havra Street, visible on the left. Along this axis, a sequence of spaces for gastronomy and consumption are proposed. On the upper floor, a large cafeteria space overlooking the garden of Synagogue. And on the right, one of the major stairway proposed by the project, representing the focus point for visitor entering from Havra Street and offering on its way up a wide view towards the Synagogue district.
This perspective section shows from another point of view the intersection of circulation axes in their L-shaped configuration. On the left, through large openings, the project proposes to integrate the view of the Jewish heritage district into Albayrak Passage.
This view taken from Havra Street shows our proposal for the redefinition of the building elevation in order to create a sort of island, and with the intention of interrupting the continuity of the street elevation, we propose the modification of the alignment of the ground level border. A space for gathering and meeting will be created in this way.
Before describing interior solutions, we are here summarizing with a material board the combination of original and new material proposed by our project.
This render shows our proposal for the redefinition of the boundaries between circulation axes and shops, in this case gastronomy spaces for street food and local products. A suspended griddle system will mark the threshold between the areas, integrating new levels for each shop. A combination of metal frames, plywood panels, and exposed wall surfaces will ensure a modest general appeal.
This render shows our proposal for a sample gastronomy space for traditional food. The general interior design language is based on sobriety.
And thank you for listening us.
Thank you for listening us. We are highly waiting for your comments. Thanks for it.
Thank you, Bartu. Thank you, Ece.
Thank you. Is there any comments that you can say?
For now, there's an ambulance.
Yeah, sorry.
I hope that's not a comment. Anybody has energy to still some energy left?
So I would like, okay, I would like to make some comments.
Uh,
Can you hear me?
Julia, yes, well, welcome. Yes, welcome.
So, thank you for your presentation. And I would like to say that I like the way you introduce the old elements, yes, the elements connected with the past. So unfortunately, I don't know the building place, but from your presentation, your concept, your project, I feel that I can also meet the history, yes, not only the original modern project, but also learn something about the past of the place. So I like it.
Yeah, we mostly want to show the historic side of the building, so that's why we want to keep the memory timeline. How can I say, design in the middle of the building.
Yes, and I think that I find your interpretation interesting.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julia. Julia, right? Julia. Yes, okay.
I think that was an interesting work, to my opinion, because it was a kind of, at least on the, I'm not a designer, architect, but at the level of perception of the environment. I mean, on one hand, you have gone to the roots of this building. I mean, as much as you could go, the shoemakers, and you, in a way, you revive it. I don't know if exactly in this way, but it is, I mean, the concept is there to connect this place to its origin, okay? And on the other hand, again, you also made a contact with the Signora's garden. What you see there is not a synagogue; it's the garden, but it's like I felt that you made us perceive that this building belongs here, you know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
That was good.
Yeah, I think most of the project, I mean, even the one, unfortunately, we cannot present today, otherwise it would take like a week, this jury review. They all, and thanks to you, as actually, Nassim, because you opened the door of a synagogue. I mean, most of the participants today are not, I mean, they don't know the story, but we had the luck, we had really an incredible chance to have a sort of a lecture now from Nassim about the Jewish history in Izmir within the boundaries of a synagogue. So we together with our students, we have been hosted by Nassim at the beginning of the semester before the lockdown, so it was still possible to move. So and I think it's experiencing directly now, seeing the places, because it's not always possible now to enter into religious spaces. So that was probably something that students kept during the process, and they really engaged with it. At the very beginning, actually, they were proposing even a total approach based on Jewish culture, but we had to stop them, because we say yes, that's not a synagogue, guys. This is a shoemaker passage. Now I understand that they are side by side, but it's not a religious space. It's not a religious space. It is not. It is not. It was not meant to be one of the spaces for the community. But the fact that it's surrounded is like it belongs. So it became a sort of a step brother or step sister of the whole system. So of the whole cluster. So everybody somehow wanted to break a wall, to break anything possible to establish a link, to give a hand, no, which is also a message that you wanted to give during your presentation of being aware of this coexistence of different culture in one very small area. So establishing how the same way you define your project, establishing a dialogue. Now this is a dialogue established through physical element, through architecture. It would not be a dialogue in religious terms, but
no, of course
it's possible to acknowledge the existence, and there might be negotiable ways to do so. Of course, it has to be discussed together. It has to be defined together. But introspection is in this way a way of bridging, not to spy. So that is important. And this project in particular, as many other, proposes that what probably defines this project more is the interest of giving a shape now to memory, and not to make a spectacular way of introducing memory, but just by reusing what is already there to become like a new way of proposing something old, but into a sort of a contemporary way of proposing it. So that makes this project valuable in that sense. It's the one probably that addresses memory in the more consistent and more physical way. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the effort to establish a dialogue with the environment and mainly with the synagogues. But here in this work, that was also there, but it's not only dialogues. Okay, it's the Jewish district, and here it has its own character. And I would love to sit in one of these shops that says Kemal Shoemaker or a Güzel Shoes and have a coffee or eat a spaghetti or pide, whatever. That would be fantastic. Yeah. Great work. Thank you.
Or maybe a kosher shop. Why not?
Why not? A Sephardic restaurant.
Yes, exactly. Anybody else? Yes, these are very valuable comments. AJ, I see your pencil. Are you about asking a question? Later, okay.
Can I just expand on this
very
interesting idea? I wonder whether the guys Bartu and your colleague, I can't remember the name. AJ. Do you know the work of an artist called Gordon Matta Clark?
I don't know.
Okay, you should look him up, because he actually, his whole work is about making cuts and sections and reusing materials, building materials out of old buildings. And what he basically does is he turns these old buildings, basically ruins, into exhibits. So he's basically using the body of a building, making specific cuts with a very contextual or conceptual manner, in a sense. So what he integrates is, voids or transitions or cuts or whatever. And what you actually end up is looking at a building displaying its own self, its own history. Like if you make a cut, you can see all the layers of the construction, the foundation, the floors, the structural beams underneath the floors and everything. So this is also another way of doing what you did with the facades, and so on and so forth. So like Gordon Matta Clark would definitely help you expand on this very interesting idea that you obviously used.
And there is a wonderful book, I didn't have it, but it's very recent now, from published by Mark Willey, about the work of Gordon Matta Clark. It was recently,
really? I didn't know.
Yes, recently presented. I think it's like 6 months or maybe 1 year only. Yes, we have talked about Gordon Matta Clark in our there was a thesis supervised recently by one of the team members, by Ebru. It was about the work of Gordon Martha Clark in building transformation. I mean, how to use architecture as a way of expressing art. So they will definitely appreciate your suggestion. They will.
We will.
You have to. So, anybody else?
Yes, I think continue this conversation. We can say about the identity of the space, this conversation between the past and the new, and how can we use the old things. We can create this identity of the space that I think it's the problem, because all of us, we want to design something new, something bright, something high-tech, but forget something from the past. So this contact between the past and the future, we can create the identity of the space.
Actually,
and this is a good point for your work, for your project.
Thank you for your comment. Actually, we want to show the how can I say the design of itself is the building, not the how can I say added afterwards. We always like to look for installation examples also, Ece and me. So we want to, how can I say, inspired from them very much, and show how the building is very beautiful all itself.
Yes.
Thanks for all comments.
Now, maybe there is something else coming. I don't know. Yes, Asia, please.
Sorry, I talked a lot, I feel.
No, come on. We are here to talk. That's beautiful.
Thank you. I am also an architect, so I know the excitement of the presentation and everything. So congratulations, first of all, and for the hard work. It can be seen. I like again here how the function is in the building and how you disturb the function. I like how you put the workshops on the first floor and the selling parts on the ground floor. In some parts I catched right. That was a nice thing. I think in all the presentations, actually one thing at the end I feel, you all try to put a lot of functions in the building. I see workshops, restaurants, artisans, co-working space, memorial line. Was this intentional? I mean, was this something you were given to do, or was it a choice all of you made? So there's something at the background, I think, of that.
Yeah, maybe I should give an answer to this because it was intentional. Not intentional the quantity. It was intentional to promote a sort of it was a test. Like, what if the building? What if the building does not have a typical 9 to 7 time? What if the building is not only a commercial place? What if the building can turn into a clock, working together with the hour, and promoting unpredictable intersection between people having different aims in visiting the building. So the idea was, let's consider first where we are and how much intense is the life around the building, and how much tourism can also be affected by new projects happening around, and the Jewish project is one of them. So what if the building becomes simply an urban route, so for people just to pass through? And then the idea of the terraces came up for many projects. What if the building keeps commercial activities, but of course gastronomy, it's probably abused in Kemeraltı right now. But still, I mean, there must be always a sort of at least a minimal offer to promote permanence into the building. What if the building has commercial units but promoting artisan works, craftsmanship? What if it's not only a showcase but also a production place, so people would also have established a small atelier into the building? And what if we can also have different users coming to the building, for example, to join professional education, semi-professional education. So the idea was to integrate culture, education, commerce, anything. So we did not give any percentages to this. We did not wanted to give any building program based on quantities. But we wanted them to deal with the complexity of resolving a possible reconfiguration of spaces according to this coexistence of different profiles and different different offer, because it is a building that has two entrances, and that makes it absolutely unique. I mean, there are few buildings that have two entrances, and only Passage building they do, apart from a front entrance and an emergency exit. But this has two, and so that was discussed at the beginning, like it's one building, but it has two different nature. It depends on where you come from. So this would allow a sort of kind of a different shades in the characterization of spaces. So we wanted to test them to think to work on this complexity. But many projects imagine to reduce, for example, the quantity of space dedicated to commercial activities, to merge them together. So we wanted to actually promote a sort of an interior replication of a street, where anything can happen and anything can coexist together, and it's very spontaneous. I mean, the modification of the urban context is sometimes unpredictable, and so we wanted to feel the space as an unpredictable, not only like a monochromatic and but I mean, what you have seen today, I mean, actually now we can really take it into a general level, the conversation, not only about this project. What you have seen today is let's say a genuine, but of course supervised by all of us. I mean, in the team, this is a very good team. Ebru and Özge, they have conservation. They are coming from conservation studies. Fulia and Burcu, they are practicing in interior architecture. I'm an architect, bridging the two things together. So we don't have high tech experts in the team. So, and that is visible. So there are several aspects about technology. They are also important. But when we try to manage everything at the same time, results might be incomplete in one way. So we wanted to reach at least one target, which is the awareness of the importance of history, and that should never be limiting. It always requires an interpretation. What you have seen are all the spontaneous, semi-spontaneous, always refined, filtered by the instructors, by the semester, by the visitors, by the contributors, by the experiences, by the lockdown also. That was very much affecting on this semester education. I mean, with project online, it was something absolutely different. But maybe increased concentration. People were obliged to be at home, so maybe they have been spending more time on thinking. So what you have seen is a variety, and we wanted also to see where would they go in relation to this input. So they go into hyper realistic, they go into hyper modern, hyper contemporary, or they go into minimal touch. which shows how different we are all, and how many different way of
I think this is a perfect challenge, by the way. This is a real challenge because Kemeraltı region is like this. So it's a real challenge and it's a great challenge. And I think the students coped really well with it. And I am taking all these points of views also on the way for Tarkem, because this building will be a real building. So all your points of views and all your feedbacks, these will be real feedbacks for the real project. So these are really precious. Thank you.
No, this is what we wanted. We wanted to give through our students some opinions, and that was what we have exactly discussed with Evran and Ahu at the very beginning. I really appreciate, I mean, how much passion we have received from Tarkem, and I felt the excitement of waiting for the delivery of these final results, which sometimes are just simply dismissed. I mean, they are simply just passing through a few hours of review. But this time, this is the very first time we feel, apart from our wonderful reviewers we had today, that they all contributed in a very, very effective way. But sometimes this time we felt that we have really like an audience. So somebody who is curious about the results of an experience that was only possible thanks to Tarkem. Otherwise, we would not be able to enter the building to have all the information that we have received. So I think this shows how the academy and the institutions can collaborate together, can work together, and in a very honest way. I mean, this is a gain for us. It's a gain for the students. It's maybe a chance for you to think once more before making a decision. And but of course, it's in your hand. I mean, that's how it should be. Yeah, Bartu, can you close please your screen? Maybe we can all have together. We can have this final.
Sure.
All together view. Thank you. Before we close, Jaime, I also thank you. I mean, I hope we haven't been intimidating you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm really wondering about also. Jaime is connected from Valencia. You are right?
Yeah, from
right?
Spain. Yeah, pleased to meet you.
Yeah, I really wondered about your opinion also about the project. I mean.
Yeah, but I apologize because I couldn't stay the whole time of the presentation.
Yes, it's okay.
And I prefer to be quiet because it's the first time and remain like as a viewer. I prefer that, but I'm pleased to hear of all of you.
Yeah. No, thank you for your time. Also, Jacopo wrote an email to our assistant. He had to leave. These are all new contacts for us. I mean,
yeah,
we never
for
met
everyone
before. It is a new pattern, but it was lovely to be everywhere at the same time. It was absolutely unique. So if there is anybody else who wants to say something, which doesn't have to be like apart from something for our students, no, that would be and then we can take a picture, and then we get free from Zoom, from the boundaries of Zoom. All right. Anything you would like to say? Or
I just want to point something. Okay. This is the first time I stay in a meeting like this. I told that I architect. I have some projects with rehabilitation, as many of you, and I only want to point to the big risk that have a building like the example we saw. And the risk for me is to temptation of changing it. So every project I liked it so much, and there are so interesting ideas. But as some teacher pointed, I think there is a big risk, a big temptation of changing everything. And I'm maybe would be in the side of not touching so much. That's the difficult, to content our design, but to make something new at the same time. So that's the big problem for me, of all of the rehabilitation projects. In the same way, I can say that everyone that works in a project like this has to make an intervention. You have to change in something that you can avoid it.
Yeah.
So that's the
totally right. I mean, what you say is actually the conclusion of a journey where you in the third grade you just eliminate everything. In the fourth grade you reconsider what you have done, and when you go to the profession you realize that you regret. In some cases. So I think the sooner the better we have this type of conversation. This type of conversation is generally opening eyes to our students, because the temptation is, am I a designer? So let me do it. And then after a while you get excited and you cross the boundaries. But then you have a final jury. We wanted to have people who are interested into these issues to warn them, let's think twice before proposing, because projects, nobody can say that they are not. I mean, in relation, I mean, they are fulfilling the requirements of what is an interior design course. But I mean, the awareness of the limit comes through tests. So we wanted to have this test in the academy before it's too late. So that's where this test should be done, and then can be discussed, and then they can be refined, reconsidered. So your point is absolutely our point. We have exactly the same way of seeing. But what you do, I mean, you cannot avoid this proposal, because they may address in a more radical or aggressive way. They may address something new. So still, they may have a way of addressing something that it might be considered and might be applied in a much more modest and respectful way.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Anybody wants to close? Yes, Cenk, please.
I can add something small.
Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for the students for whole hard work. I just want to remind something. In all of the projects we've seen, quite important ideas, not only in the scale of the building that aim to be refurbished, but also like the idea of creating an inner street, or taking the street flow into the building and then take it to the upper floors, etc., etc. But all these kind of stuff can be realized with small interventions in the neighborhood right now by the people who want to create that change. Because most of the time we tend to think that the design project itself, it is the real thing, but actually it is not the real thing. It is a representation of the possible realities. It becomes too real when we started to intervene with the environment that we analyze, that we propose design ideas, etc. So especially as a design student, but also as a citizen of the city, all these great ideas can be interpreted in the real world right now by the people who want to, who are enough motivated, let's say. So I invite all of us, of course, the people who are living abroad, they are all more than welcome, but we should wait for the times that the flights and the borders will be open again. But I invite everyone who are living in Izmir, become the local of the Kemeraltı, and eat there, interact there with people who are producing stuff, especially as a as a designer, it's a gem. I mean, a precious stone, because there are lots of strange stuff that we can find irritating. Maybe it's also a good experience, but at the same time, there are lots of quite interesting stuff that we could never imagine of. So I think we need to spend more and more and more time, but also to become locals of the Kemeraltı whole region, but especially the Havra district. But also there are lots of quite interesting places. So I quite believe in that historical city center, and I include Agora into that, Kadife Kale, the former Acropolis of the city, and even the southern slope of Kadife Kale too. So I just wanted to invite this knowledge and capacity to the district, because then we can also enjoy the city more altogether as a self-made creation by the people who are willing to do it.
Sure, I'm absolutely agree with that. In making it from, like, to generate it, not just to talk about it. That's important. I mean, your role is absolutely relevant in this. It is a great motivator and communicator of local creativity and capabilities. Yeah. Anything else?
I also want to thank for the invitation.
Yes.
As part of the department, it's great to see so many people from different backgrounds, different variety of interests. Thank you for this opportunity, and Sergio taking the role to bring everyone together. Thank you for your time, and I really enjoyed all the sessions. I know these students already have the environmental background from the previous term, so it's not about the studio, it's about our students digging back into their knowledge, digging back into their previous steps. We as just instructors have the chance to load lots of information. In this term it was about rhythm, but I know some students did take the challenge to integrate it with environmental solutions. Some of my students kind of couldn't get there, but yeah, please, for following semesters, try to get together what you already get. Every step that you take is another step to being a designer, and no one is perfect. So thank you for the effort. Thanks again.
Yes, thank you again. Yeah, the time of the great synthesis of a designer is now for them, entering into the graduation level. So yeah, they took a note about it, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Anything else?
Can I share my screen as a thank you note from Greece, kind of a postcard that could be
please.
interesting? It's something that I hope I can share. How do I share this?
At the bottom, there is a menu with share screen. It appears.
Yeah, but let's say desktop one. I want to. Okay, I think I got it.
Until Angelos finds the share screen, I would like to say thank you, and glad to meet you, Sergio, and Bru, hi Bru, and all the friends from Izmir and the other places. Thank you for this opportunity, Sergio.
Thank you for being here. I mean, it was a long day. It was a
thank you, Dionysa.
Yes,
nice to see you here.
It's nice to meet you again. I mean, on a distance, but
nice to meet you.
Soon we will meet physically. I mean, in person. That's going to happen.
I hope soon.
I mean, it depends, but maximum in a year time. Yeah.
Okay, apparently I won't be able to do it because I have to restart Zoom. I had to give some permissions to the application, so that's why I couldn't share. But it was like a very nice picture from a project that was done in a very similar case scenario than yours. And it's
you can share the name of the project on the chat. Maybe we can go and check it by ourselves.
That's. Can I just like restart the thing because I really want to show it to you guys?
Of course. I mean.
Okay, so I'm gonna reboot and until then.
Yeah. In the meantime, we can have a few additional comments.
If in the meantime we can have a cup of beer, something like that. That's what you meant, actually.
No, I didn't mean that. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe you have a way of reading in my mind, but this time it wasn't exactly exactly that. No, in the meantime, I was thinking somebody else would like.
I want to thank the students for their beautiful work and beautiful designs. They are so valuable for us representing Turkey. Because they worked really hard. I can see that they did real analysis and beautiful designs with beautiful presentations. Thank you, friends, and thank you to their teachers, Sergio and the other teachers. This is a beautiful day for Albayrak Han, I think. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. You thank us, but we should thank you forever, probably. No, I mean, all of it. And
we are really happy to see the students in the Historical City Center.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we have it.
Okay, here it is. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a passage of a similar commercial space. It's close to Synagogue Square, and at a particular time, it was kind of left to its own chances, and eventually everybody left. You know, all the shops were emptied, and it was kind of deserted in a sense. So people came in, tried to create some event about it. So they took all of the signs from the old shops, and they kind of hung them on the ceiling, creating this perspective view. And this was kind of like an intervention to show the ghosts of this memory, and perhaps an invitation to reuse the passage in a new way.
Yes.
So this is my postcard from Greece.
Your postcard from Greece is really fitting well. Yeah.
But thank you for the opportunity. It was really enjoyable to be part of this. I thought that all of the projects, especially for a 3 months old attempt, right? That was a very dense.
3.5 months, yes.
Yeah, 3.5 months. That's a very narrow time frame to deal with all of the complexities of such a project, because besides having this visual predominance when you are doing design projects, these kind of projects also integrate, include sounds and textures and smell. I have a very particular memory of coffee from Turkey, and all these things sort of come in play, and then the more you develop, the more you can you find out you can play with all that. And I think most of the projects had showed lots of promise and lots of opportunity to create such habitable spaces and lived spaces in a sense, and create experience. And so thank you for that. It was really enjoyable. I hope we can do it again, possibly in person. you know,
thank you for accepting our blind date. I mean, we just send you an invitation through email, and that it then turned into to be a real date. That was really a blind date invitation.
But very enjoyable, I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, we were very surprised by the reaction of people. We had no real touch, the direct touch. We had no real consistent touch before. The reaction was very positive, and I don't know. I mean, this is interesting. I mean, interesting that there was a sort of, we felt there was a kind of a trust. Like it's gonna be nice to join, and we are so grateful for this. I mean, to have broken the boundaries of a typical review setting that would mostly be confined into the local territory, which is valuable. I mean, this is the main voice we want to reach, the main audience we want to reach, but we want also to have different perspective, and in different countries there are different way of dealing with the same problem. So the other perspectives are very important and very enriching and also we are pleased that now you know more about the city of Izmir through our introductory presentation. You know about the Jewish history very shortly, but very useful. You know about the actors, you know about the dynamic of the city. So it was also, I mean, that target was also achieved through in a very simple way by connecting. Yeah, I think we can take last pictures, and then we can say, actually I want to say thank you one by one. Erdem from Milano, Cenk from Izmir, Evran from Izmir, Nesim from Izmir, Belgin from our faculty, I mean, Ahu from Izmir, Begül from Izmir, Gözen from Ankara, right?
Yes, right, Ankara.
And we have our students, Azal, Furkan, Berfin, Bengi, Erva. And then we have Ahmet from Istanbul. Thank you very much for being here. Begüm, Burak, Bartu, Julia are you in Poland right now? Yes, you are in Lodz. Dionysia, you are in Greece, I believe. Carlota, where are you, in Milano or in Spain?
In Spain.
You are in Spain right now. Thank you. Jaime, you're in Valencia. AJ is in Izmir. AJ also is in Izmir. Bartu, we have Özge, of course, our team members, Özge, Özum, Burcu, Fulia. Thank you, Hector, for being with us. I'm sorry that your microphone doesn't work. Life. Ceren, you are in Turkey or in Italy right now?
I'm in Italy. Actually, I want to thank you to take me back to Izmir because I'm from Izmir.
Oh, okay.
I'm used to in these days.
Yeah, yes. It was a very long-lasting picture of Izmir. I mean,
good one. Yeah.
Thank you for being with us. Thank you, Angelos. Thank you, Özden. Thank you, Gülben. Thank you, Hussein. Then we have our students. Thank you, Nur Balice. One more department member. Thank you, Zeynep. We can take last pictures and then we close. All right. Who is gonna do that? Begüm? Yeah.
Yes, I can do that. Okay, I'm taking it.
Page 2.
And I have the page 2. One sec. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hope to see you face to face in Healthy Days. Thank you.
Soon, as soon as possible. As soon as possible.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. We really appreciate what you have done.